Dean, magandang hapon, and good afternoon to all of us. So we would like to welcome you to our series of independent dialogues. No? This afternoon, uh, we'll be discussing many things in the light of the United Nations Food System Summit. Then we'll be having from seeds to table, reinstating the farmers to the core and forefront of the food systems in Asia. So this activity is being organized by our network, Intercontinental Network uh, of Organic Farmers Organization, or Innofo Asia. So without further ado, let's formally start our discussion, our program to be given to us by no other than our Innofo Secretariat member and my colleague from Masipag, Miss Rowena Buena.
Pala yung una. Hello everyone from the Philippines and good afternoon. So we're all afternoon. Yes, so I will be giving the rationale of these activities and um so the United Nations Food System Summit dialogues are ongoing globally, no, to obtain inputs from a global audience to transform the way the world produces, consumes, and disposes of food. It hopes to offer opportunities and spaces for citizens to critically engage and propose pathways towards sustainable food systems, exploring new ways of working together and encouraging collaborative actions. So the outcomes of these dialogues will feed into the summit's five priority action tracks and the preparatory work of its scientific group to support changes in global food systems to deliver the sustainable development goals by 2030. But however, there are debates surfacing, as to what direction the food system will summit will take to ensure that the issues on hunger, malnutrition, social justice, and the planet will be in the fore or the center or the core of these solutions. So there should be a revisit and evaluation of our present food system, which we know are dominated by corporations and multi national corporations, which is very important if we want to chart a transformative, just, and resilient and sustainable food system that puts the interests and needs of food producers, farmers, fishers, and others, and consumers across the globe at the center of the policies and action plans of the UN Food System Summit. Um, so while we organize this dialogue, we question ourselves as how to sustainable is a sustainable food systems. We have heard a lot of statements. Uh, some of them are quite cliche already of how transformation should take place. But the question is, are these solutions considerate of the real situation on the ground? Are we asking the right questions to the food producers? And if we do, are the answers appropriate to the context of the one of the most vulnerable sector of our society? So this afternoon, with our speakers from the scientific community, who, by the way, are also farmers, and from our colleagues from the organic sector, we will try to discuss and draw recommendations which are aligned to the 5 UN Food System Summit tracks, but of course with particular focus on the environmental, socio-cultural, economic, and political dimensions or aspects which are central to the conditions and realities of small-scale farmers and organic producers. And we in Innofo hopes that the discussion on improving our food systems that revolves around recognition of farmers' rights to resources and other support will not end after this dialogue, but will become the basis for more discussion, lobbying, practice, and campaign for a world of regenerative and sustainable food systems for all. So we hope that everyone will be very active in the discussion and asking your questions for us to draw no the the, the possible solutions for our food systems. Thank you very much and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Weng, for that comprehensive rationale, no, for our discussion this afternoon. Indeed, there's a great need, no, to push for a sustainable system and giving the more important value, no, of our farmers worldwide. So yeah, and on our next part of the program, we will be having a message, no, from IFOAM, the message of um, Miss Jennifer Chang to be given to us by Miss Janet Gracie of Innofo, South Africa. Janet?
Thank you, Basti. Good afternoon. I would like to thank Innofo for inviting me to the Independent Dialogue for the UN Food Systems Summit. First, I would like to emphasize on the importance of our small-scale and family farmers. They are the key in the Food Systems Summit. They are vital in the transformation to a more sustainable food system. Our small-scale and family farmers are the backbone of our society. As providers of the food we eat, as caretakers of our health, and as stewards of Mother Earth. Globally, 90% of farms worldwide are less than 2 hectares, and more than 2 billion people depend on these farms for their livelihoods. There are some 500 million small-scale and family farms worldwide, and these farms produce about 80% of the food consumed in Asia and sub-Saharan Africa. This means that smallholder and family farmers can be part of the solution to global food security, helping to feed the world, especially in the era of COVID. Second, as we cope with the threat of COVID-19, we are also learning the importance of resilient local food systems. I believe that this COVID pandemic should not become a hunger pandemic. We are still being affected by food shortages due to the disruptions of international and domestic trade of food and the breakdown of logistics in food delivery. The poor and the marginalized have been seriously affected and their health and immunity threatened, making them more vulnerable to the threat of the virus. In 2020, the sales of food through box schemes, community-supported agriculture, organic cooperatives, farmers' markets have more than doubled in many countries in Asia. People are becoming more aware of their health and their immunity and are realizing that good, nutritious, and chemical-free food is one of the best solutions to maintaining their health. Third, I would like to stress on the importance of our soil. Healthy soil is the foundation of the food system. It produces healthy crops that feed the people in the world, and therefore without soil, there is no food. And with 40% of the world's soils being degraded, the only solution we have is to transform into a more sustainable and organic food system. Only through such transformation can we achieve carbon neutrality, prevent the loss of diversity, and to deliver on the SDGs. I hope you have a successful meeting. Jennifer Chang, IFOAM Asia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet. No, and also we thank for that for Jennifer. No, for giving that comprehensive message. Okay, as also Weng mentioned earlier, no, we are very fortunate this afternoon to have a wonderful set, no, of speakers who are most of them are scientists and not just scientists but also actually farmers. So yeah, without further ado, let's proceed, no, to the presentations on the proposed solutions, no, of the current challenges on the food system. So our first presenter would be sharing on how to ensuring access to safe and nutritious food for all. No, that's her presentation. And then our speaker is a founder of Ruma Organic and also the chairman of Alifa Foundation. She is also one of the member of board of Indonesia Organic Alliance. She is active in organic movement as an organic farmer, consumer, education, and also consultant. She has participated in various organic farming trainings at national and international levels, ranging from cultivation to food safety. Mrs. Bibong is also active as a researcher in various research projects, such as research for mangrove products. She is also a consultant and trainer for PGS development program with various organizations in Indonesia. She has published various books about organic lifestyles and also PGS. She graduated from the Department of Aquaculture from the Bogor Agricultural Institute with her life motto, make difference with simplicity. She continues to be active for the organic farming movement in Indonesia. So please help me welcome Bibong Widyarti. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, all. Thank you for time. Thank you for me the time to share about ensuring access to safe and nutritious food for all. I want to begin to present my. I was activist too for organic, so I want to go here to share about our
Yes,
experience
Miss
and
Bibong,
our activity.
I will share your presentation. No,
Yes.
just yes. Wait, just a
Okay.
minute. Just uh,
Okay. Thank you, Wang.
can you see it now?
Not yet. Yes.
Not yet.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. My name is Bibong Widyarti. I am going to be activist for and consultant for organic product. In here, you can see about the picture. It's brown sugar and then sweet potato and then sorghum. Next slide. In here, I want to share about the activities, especially in Indonesia. As we know, Indonesia with more than 270 million people and most populous in island from Sabang to Merauke and then Miangas until to the road at the south area. And then Indonesia are the second place of biodiversity. So we have so much carbohydrate source. It's around 77, and then source of fat, and then types of legume variety, and then types of fruit, and then type of vegetable, and then 40 type of beverages like jamu, fermented product, and then spices. What to know more? Indonesia also happen to be 1,000 beautiful vegetable and fruits and 110 spices. Indonesian is also placed to more spicy diversity species diversity because every land they have a specific species and then the second is of floral diversity. How Indonesia to contribute to the world? Yes, we are contribute to the world because we have the diversity is our treasure in the term of culture because every island they have a specific culture, historical and culinary enrichment. So you can to see about our food. That's in from Java, Bali. Java is Central Java, West Java, Banten, and then East Java. They have a difference. So in Kalimantan, Sumatra, and then Sulawesi, and then Irian, Papua, and then uh, Nusa Tenggara Barat, and then Nusa Tenggara Timur. And then how the Indonesia spices go to all over places such in Europe. It's why from Pala, and then we have more spices to the for export. This next. Wait, can you for the next slide? Okay, thank you. Why I have to four point or focus why a organic or agriculture product is we must focus for everyone environmental. But first, increase an initiative from community and consumer, not just only community, but the consumer is to be more important, especially during the pandemic, which return to the harmony with the nature, how they can to back to the nature activity, how they can to buy something near their home or their area. And then the second is develop environmental focusing standard and rules. How? Why I focus in the standard and rules? Because we must to behave something based on the local wisdom, or we adopt local wisdom in the specific area for standard, especially in PGS. So why I was supported for PGS because it is participatory with multi-stakeholder, consumer, producer, local government activity, and then maybe indigenous people and something that are multi-stakeholder. And the third is exploring the potential and documenting local food and food ingredients, especially non-time anti-FP, and then maintain the continuity of native local variety. Like in Indonesia, in Java, especially in my area in urban area in Jakarta, it's difficult to find a bamboo shoot, rattan shoot, but in Kalimantan, it's easy. We are going to the market and then we can see the bamboo shoot and the rattan shoot. They have very good taste from sweet to bitter. They can to cook with local menu. So what they have for bamboo shoot or rattan shoot, after we are going to check the nutrition, they have the uh, rich of nutrition like the fiber, antioxidant, and then trace minerals. So why depend on the canned product? We can to buy something from to buy something on and cook from the fresh product. This is and then the fourth is involving the young generation and family farming. I think this is a point to the important point to focus to involving younger and family farming. Next slide. Now, focus on the reality of small organic farmer. Train a TOT for a small organic farmer. So we can do in near you or near your farm, we can make it a TOT or something. And then our farmers, some of our farmers needs increase a technique for processing based on GMP and then good agriculture practices, microfinance, and then access for market. And the second is collaboration with local government, university, local NGO, and GSR program. And then the fourth is farmer exchange education for specific product. You can see the photo like in below. This is we are going to the farmer exchange Kalimantan to West Java, from Kalimantan to West Java with studying about the product, and then supporting the PGS and see about how we can do make a TOT for the woman and produce a local product. And then the last,
Bong.
and then the last,
Hello, Miss Bibong. Excuse me. Yeah. reminder to all participants, kindly mute your speaker, your microphone, please, no, so that there will be no interference. Then, Ms. Bibong, you have 5 minutes. Please wrap up. Thank you.
Important is about the seed bank. Yeah, the seed bank. Seed bank is very, very important, especially for the local variety. I think this is a key of the reality of the small organic farmer. And the next slide, focus focus on economic and political dimension. Collaboration with local government to make center local food production and specific areas, especially product from small farmer and indigenous people. We already hand to hand with the others NGO, hand to hand with the others local government, especially in North Kalimantan, in Malino. We already 5 years to make the make a market with local, just only local product, just only local product from small farmer, and indigenous people can sell something in that market. So I think is it to very important. And then small loan for small farmer or farmer cooperation with a simple access. I think we can the political dimension, but this is a point, the important point. And then access to the online market. Why access the online market? If you see about the SPOA 20 and 20, we already have a questionnaire for more than 300 participants. How they buy something product from organic? 50% they are direct market to the consumer or direct selling from the farmers. And then the second is from the supermarket, and then from the supermarket and restaurant organic, and then from community market, and then from online, and then they grow their own food at home. That we can to see we can to know about the urban farming. It's why when you remember the last why seed bank, we need to have the seed bank for agroecology or for organic farmer, because some of our in who stay in the urban area, we need the seed for they grow their own food. So we can see this information. How about the online market? Online market in here is 40 is around 42.8%. So we can increase the local market to support local products, especially from family farming and for organic farmer. So we can how we can have to simple access. They have a small loan or for the small farmer. For the next slide, focus on socio and cultural. Food product based on innovation in local variety is related to local wisdom of the community based and geographical unique. I think at the Central Java, we are already trained TOT for the woman community near in area mangrove, so they can make cookies from Avicennia SP or from mangrove, and then they didn't use the product for import product like wheat flour, but we use a local flour like cassava or cassava fermented or the others from local area. And the second
Miss
is
Bibong, please
the
wrap up. Please
okay,
wrap up. Thank you.
educate the consumer about educate consumer and nutritional value and the goodness to return to the forgotten local menu. I think this is you can see about how we can have do the testing and then we can make something from sagu in here and then how to cook the fermented fish and then how to make agroforestry for agroforestry for education. Next, I think the last thank you. I think this is just only uh, five. I think I have to something to share for next week. Thank you.
As I mentioned, no, thank you, Miss Bibong, for that wonderful presentation. Okay, let's go for our next presenter. No, our next presenter would be Dr. Ranil Sinanayaki. He has a long history of active environmental conservation work. From 1964 to 1970, he was a field associate of the American Museum of Natural History, where he pioneered work on species, habitats, and developing field keys to amphibia. He has been a consultant for UNEP, UNDP, and the World Bank on matters of biodiversity and forest rehabilitation. Currently, Dr. Ranil was scientific director for Counterpart International for their forest garden program in Sri Lanka, Guatemala, Vietnam, and the Philippines. He has an extensive knowledge on marketing of organic products and was responsible for the certification of much of the highland smallholder coffee in Papua New Guinea. Dr. Ranil is the developer of analog forestry concept for ecosystem restoration work that has a worldwide following currently. Currently, Dr. Anil is working on adding value to primary ecosystem services through the development of an electronic ledger termed LifeForce to facilitate the rural population to participate effectively in the development economy while adding to the sustainability of the local area. So please help me welcome Dr. Ranil Senanayaki. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Can I share the screen? Can I
Sure,
use
sir.
my
Go ahead.
screen
Yeah.
share? I can. Okay. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you. I am a farmer as well as a scientist, and therefore I'd like to share what I have learned in the field with you. I think it's really important. Now, the other thing is I prepared a 15-minute presentation, but I'm going to go very fast because I've got 10 minutes. So if you have questions, come to me later. I've got the emails on my screen, so copy them down, and if you have questions, come to me later. Now, let me go.
Hello, Dr.
Yes.
Anil. This is Rowena.
Yes.
We would like to tell our speakers that we have extended your presentation up to 15 minutes, so it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. No worries. Okay, here we go. Let me start by. Yep. Okay. Oops. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm. Can you see my screen? No.
Not yet, sir.
Okay. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Let me get back here. Okay. Now share. Yes. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, doctor. Yes, yes.
You can. All right. Sustainable use of resources, I think, can only be possible with a good working knowledge of those particular resources. I'd like to take you quickly through our agricultural fields and what we need to do as small farmers. Whoops, excuse me. Okay. Sustainable consumption has been defined, or use has been defined as the consumption of goods and services that have minimal impact on the environment, social, and be economically viable while meeting the needs of humans. This is what we're supposed to move towards. As organic farmers, you'll see this field before. We work on different systems: tree-covered systems, agroforestry systems, permaculture systems, analog forest systems, etc. So we must learn first what our ecosystems are and how they function. To do that, we must also understand that there's a maximal sustainable yield of each ecosystem from any landscape. And what's happening today, as you see, is from forests, we have come into farms that we manage organically. But as we move towards urbanization, you will find that the impervious surfaces, that is, the surfaces where water cannot penetrate and air cannot penetrate, increases. So basically, as we move from rural to urban, we lose a tremendous amount of the land's capacity to produce ecosystem services. Now, here's one example of consumptive pressure. This is the forest of Amazonia. First, you go in and take the trees out. Okay, that's one level of consumption. You come back here, you run some cattle on this thing. They destroy the land some more. And then, excuse me, right? Then you move back and then they say, okay, we got some good soil. Let's grow a grain on it. For quick return, you grow a grain on it. And eventually you're down here, which is the bare bones. This is what is happening today in most of the areas, and most of our small farmers are being pushed into this direction. Now, what we have to understand is a good soil is living. 1 gram of a good soil would contain within it 1 to 2 billion individual bacterial cells. Sharing that same space with the bacterial cells would be 100 to 200 million individual actinomycetes. Sharing that same gram with the bacterial actinomycetes, we have over a kilometer of length of fungal hyphae, thousands of algal cells, thousands of nematodes, worms, columbalis, macroalcods. Now, in terms of bacteria alone, the upper 15 centimeters of soil contains about 5,000 to 11,000 kilograms per hectare. This is the engine that runs agriculture all through our planet. And this is the engine that we have discounted and ignored to our peril, because the total weight of all living organisms in an organic soil accounts for a mass of about 7,000 to 14,000 kilograms per hectare in the upper centimeters of soil. And then, if you consider that the combined weight of all the organisms in that top 15 centimeters is about equal to the weight of about 20 horses, which means you have close on 20 horsepower of energy working day and night in your soil, every day, every night, doing chemical transformations. This is what creates fertility in the soil. This is what gives us good soil. This is a living soil that supported humanity for the last 10,000 years. But the moment we start putting external energy into the soil, like fertilizers and agrochemicals, there is an ecological axiom that says energy flow through any ecosystem tends to organize and simplify that ecosystem. So then what happens basically is, whoops, what happened? Hello? Hello? Oh, okay. Then what happens is that the ecosystem, soil ecosystem, loses both biomass and biodiversity. So as the soil ecosystem gets smaller and smaller, weaker and weaker, it is then unable to continue giving you a crop. You have to use external energy. It's like a drug addict. The moment you put external energy, you ruin your soils to a level that it becomes totally reliant on external energy to give you a crop. Today, agriculture has become totally reliant on fossil fuel, on fossil energy. Now, is oil a good thing? There are two opinions of this. Let me show you that. Whoops. Yeah. There are two visions of soil. In Sri Lanka, an official communique says no oil means no development. Less oil, less development. It is oil that keeps the wheels of development moving. In Ecuador, there is the Shuar Amazonian tribe, under whose feet lie massive deposits of oil. But they oppose its mining because they say oil represents the spirits of the dead. Ask it for power and you sacrifice your children. Now, in this future that we are moving towards, we are made to work harder, consume, earn more money, Run, run, consume. Happiness is around the corner. Go buy things. Keep moving, keep going, keep earning. Now, this is economic development through the consumption of oil. And what it leads is to oil addiction. Development based on oil, on the consumption of oil as we know today, is totally non-sustainable. But all of our development energies still are focused towards the consumption of oil and oil addiction. Now, hold on. Yeah. And to service the oil addiction, of course, our farms have to give way to the roads and to urbanization. And in that, the pavement gets made in urbanization, and the interchange of atmospheric soils and gases that has been going on for millions, billions of years stops forever. So urbanization actually takes away all the ecosystem services a piece of land can produce, and then it's up to the rural people to take up the slack and increase our production so the urban people can live a little better. Now, sorry. Now, let me show you something that happens when we go on this road of adding energy and going high energy systems. In Sri Lanka, we have the external energy systems. This is the traditional rice field run by buffaloes. This is an external energy field run by tractors. So we get a lot of oil energy into it, and we say the buffalo is, we say, excuse me, we say the buffalo is too slow, the tractor works well, and we work a system for the tractor. Fine. What happens culturally and ecologically in that landscape is this. When the buffalo goes, the buffalo wallow, that is where the farmer puts the buffalo into water constantly because they like to stay in water, right, disappears. And that's taken out and turned into the field. When that disappears, a whole range of ecological cascades begin. It starts with the loss of the buffalo fallow, the dry weather refuge for the fish are gone. And with the small fish disappearing, the control of the mosquitoes, malaria, and dengue disappear, and that emerges, and there's the opportunity cost of that. Next, what happens is with the big fish gone, the protein source for the village is gone. With the little fish gone, the mosquitoes come in and disease starts increasing. This is the first thing. Then, with the vegetation around the buffalo wallow gone, all the population of predators and control agents disappear because they have nowhere to live anymore. And then, with that control gone, the threat of pests start increasing, and the farmer can't get a good crop. When the vegetation goes around the buffalo wallow, the amphibians disappear. And the amphibians are also excellent controllers of insect pests. And with them gone, more pressure on the farmer's farm. In addition to that, a variety of dragonflies that are supported by the buffalo wallow disappears. And the predatory insects are now gone, and there's more pests increasing. Again, another thing that happens is the Varanus lizard disappears. That eats the crab called Paradelphusa. The crab burrows into the farmer's rice paddy buns, and the farmer has to put in at least 5 to 6 man days of work every season if this creature is not there because of the damage you get here. And this creature disappears when the buffalo wallow disappears. Similarly, the rat snake, Tyres, right? It destroys the rats and the mice that destroys the farmer's crop. The buffalo wallow disappears, all this disappears. So this, just by bringing the tractor and taking the buffalo out and not thinking about the kind of ecosystem that we traditionally had developed in each country. In all of your countries, this will be true. We will lose a lot of the ecological knowledge that our traditional farmers brought with us. So please pay attention to this aspect of your farms. Also, with the loss of the buffalo wallow, that stops the economic activity of soaking and softening the leaves of the coconut, which was used traditionally for the roofing. Right. All this impedes sustainable consumption patterns, and we traded tradition for fossil-given technology. And when we did that, there is a price to pay. The price is that fossil-led development is creating climate change. And as we see this global temperature averages start going up, 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 up. Now at year 2000, we are really climbing. In all our countries, all of you, all of us have the experience of this. That is, the temperature trend in every country is that there's an increase in the mean. There's more hot weather, there's more record hot weather. This is becoming serious in many of our countries, in some countries exceeding 40 degrees. This, for us, for farmers, this is deadly. This is a deadly, deadly problem for the farming community because chlorophyll has an operating optimum temperature at around 37 to 39. As that temperature increases, the productivity goes down. You get less and less productivity. Past 40, 5 to 48, everything ceases. So we are heading into this future. We are heading into a future where agriculture might be impossible in open areas. What can we do? This is a scientific reality, and this is a creation of ourselves by burning fossil fuel for development. Now, chlorophyll is the substance that's going to be affected. Chlorophyll is what gives us our food. Chlorophyll is what sustains us as farmers, because this is primary productivity. This is the first bit of productivity is called the primary ecosystem services. And you look at the soil in terms of heating, right? Even the earthworms cannot exist temperatures over 36. At 44, they're almost gone. So all of us farmers, we have to think, how on earth can we go into the future when the future looks like this? We have to now appraise ourselves with scientific knowledge, with the knowledge of the organisms, trees and plants around us, and use our farm the best way we can. Right. How can we respond? Well, trees provide a constancy of environmental variables because of the shade, they reduce solar input, etc. They facilitate the formation of soil. Remember when I spoke earlier about the billions and millions of organisms in the soil? Well, they live here, but they cannot live unless the tree roots, which provide 20% of the total weight every year into the soil to maintain an active living soil. So trees are extremely important for us to face the future with. There's another reason why, and that is the soil, when the trees make a good active soil, right, the mycelia that grow up in an active living soil, right, increases the active root surface to bring in nutrients and water up to 700 times more than a crop that is there without a living soil. And we can put in from a bag, we can put in nitrogen, phosphorus, everything else. But the plants can't take it up. If there's a living soil, the plants can absolutely absorb a huge quantity because the soil lets them do it. Think about growing the soil. Next, the trees themselves, right, give us, cool the ambient environment. One large tree gives us a cooling capacity of 10 air conditioner room size units, which is roughly about 1,200,000 British thermal units of cooling a day. An acre will give us 540 British thermal units of cooling a day. Why this is important is tree-covered home gardens then are the ideal response to food security and adaptation to climate change. We have to learn to design and define our homes so that we have the security of photosynthetic biomass around us, giving us that stability, building the soil under us, and giving us the future. Now, the great challenge for the future is what kind of landscapes are we going to build into the future? In the future, monoculture, corporate farming like this will not work. It will be too hot for it. So therefore, we have to stop thinking monoculture, small farms, and think like this. Farms that are surrounded by trees and tree crops, landscapes that are diverse and developed. This has to be the future landscapes if we are going to survive climate change. And as small farmers, this is our strength. We have to now get up and we have to respond and demonstrate the capacity we have and what we can do to respond to the future that is before us. So, couple of other things I'd like to share with you is we do a thing called analog forestry. Here's two examples where we create things that are analogous, similar to the natural forest, but with crop species useful to man. Crop species useful to man. Oops, I got out of this thing for a minute. Excuse me. Okay, useful to man. So, yeah, analog forestry, crop species. So here is the native forest. Here is the analog forest. Here, 60% of all the native vertebrates have returned. The birds have returned. Everything comes back. But this is a forest that gives you crops and will give you an income at the same time while responding to national and international needs. Now,
Dr. Sinayaki, please wrap up. Thank you.
Yep, okay. Here is a system of certification which might be useful for all of you all. Please take this number down. And in the future, shifting to sustainable consumption is possible also by investing in primary ecosystem services. I won't talk about all this. I'll just give you the web pages. Please come and visit us, and you will see the work we are doing. Join hands, join our networks, and let us make a change on this planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sinanayaki, for that comprehensive and wonderful presentation. So indeed, the future is really in organic, in agroecology, not in monoculture plantations. Again, thank you, Dr.
Absolutely.
Sinanayaki. Yes.
Absolutely. One thing I'd like to share with you is that to share with you my farm. This is my farm. This is my production area. This is my forest. This is my farm. All of us can live like this. So please join me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sinanayaki.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon. Okay, so yes, and then let's proceed to our next speaker, who will be sharing to us, about boosting nature positive production. So our next speaker is a founding member of Magsasaka at Siyentipiko para sa Pag-unlad ng Agrikultura, or MASIPAG. It's a Farmer-Scientist Partnership for Development, and also served as a national coordinator of the network. In the academe, he was Associate Professor of Environmental Science in 3 leading universities in the Philippines. In the government, he was in the National Organic Agriculture Board of the Department of Agriculture for 3 years, and a full-time consultant to the Secretary of the Department of Agrarian Reform for 2 years. He was involved in the design and one of the lead authors in the International Assessment of Agricultural Science and Technology for Development, IAASTD. His areas of interest include sustainable food systems and organic agriculture, agroecology, alternative pest management, climate change resilience, impacts of genetically modified organisms, natural resource management, environmental science, systems analysis, and rural development. So please help me welcome Dr. Chito Medina.
Thank you, Excel. Let me open my slide. Okay, thank you very much, Excel, and good afternoon, good morning to the participants in this dialogue. So this afternoon, I was assigned to share boosting nature positive production, but I felt that was too limiting. So I wanted to share with you beyond boosting nature positive production, broadening the framework for a role of organic agriculture in food systems. We have to look at agriculture as a multifunctional, generally people think about yield and yield and yield of crops. Maybe that's the income of the farmers, sometimes marketing and trade. And that is the economic components of agriculture. But there are environmental dimensions, and I think the previous speaker, Dr. Ranil, has elaborated much on this, especially in the ecological relationships of ecosystems components, soil, water, climate, biodiversity, among others. And there is a social dimension, the health, the gender, tradition, social, and culture. I'm mentioning all of this because most often when among organic agriculture advocates and practitioners, they always talk about the organic standards, how to be certified, and marketing, and the profit, and the so on. But we have to look at it in the broader food production systems, food systems, and we have to look at the intersections or interactions between economic and environmental components, the so-called environmental services, also the cultivation and commercialization of traditional foods, and the recognition of traditional and diversified land use. In other words, we would have to look at agriculture also in the political economy, political uh, ecology, and socio-political dimensions of organic agriculture, so that we're not only confined with the technical dimensions of organic fertilizer and organic seeds and organic markets. We have to look at
I think there's a problem with Dr. Chito Medina's connection.
Hello, XL.
Hello, Weng. Yes.
There
Technical. Yeah.
technical problem, so Doc Chito will be transferring in.
To computer. Okay. Yeah. Because here in the Philippines, internet connection is quite challenging. So we'll just wait a bit for Dr. Chito to continue his presentation. So, and also a reminder, no, for our participants here. So, we have a options for the languages. So, if you're using mobile, you can click on the options, then click on language, then select. No, there are available language channels. No, we have here Hindi. We also have Bahasa,
sorry,
and as well
I'm
Vietnamese.
now okay.
Okay. Okay, Doc Chito is back. Go ahead, Doc Chito.
Yan. Pindutin niyo po. Yan.
Share screen. Share mo nga. Play.
Opo. Yan. Ayan, sir.
Okay. So Doc Chito was on the
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry for that. So what I was saying was there is multifunctionality of agriculture that we have to be concerned also, so that we can address the so-called objectives of the social components. Actually, multifunctionality is about the multi-output activity, producing commodities and non-commodity externalities and public goods such as environmental services, landscape amenities, and cultural heritages. So we have to look at the complexity rather than the simplicity of agriculture in this case. When okay, before I proceed, I have to remind also that we have to be concerned about small scale farmers. I have to remind everyone that our forum actually, our dialogue this afternoon is in preparation for the issues that has to be taken in and submitted into the UN Food System Summit sometime into September this year. So that in the world, 77% of farms are small scale farmers, that is less than 2 hectares, 2 hectares or less. About 70% of the food produced in the world are also uh, produced by small scale farmers, and 85% of farmers have 2 hectares or less. 87% of this small scale farmers are in Asia. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the Innofo from Asia to take this uniqueness of small scale farmers concentrated in especially in Asia to bring into the attention of the UN Food Systems Summit, because they might tend to develop a kind of agriculture that is uniform across the world, wherein the bias is in favor of uh, big corporate farming. I'd like to say that the world also has shrink into a small world, and that whatever happens in the world happens or affects everything in other corners of the world. So that the goal actually is the globalized and relocalized food systems. And we have to argue also that the global free trade under WTO or World Trade Organization is not favorable to small scale farmers. Everyone argues that don't complain as long as there is level playing field of economy. It should be fair for everyone. But if you're a small thing fighting against a giant, a big funding or big capitalization of giant corporations, definitely the playing field is not level actually. So these are the context. Now let me go into this components of the nature into the nature boosting production. What I did, because of the assignment of only 10 minutes, is to not to give the details, but rather to give you a scope of and breadth of this environmental components. And in this case, everyone, especially the organic farmer practitioners, are very much knowledgeable into the details as well as many variations of such environmental components of nature boosting production. But the blue ones here are uh, about the soil. So the regeneration and conservation of the soil, reduction of soil regeneration, degradation, uh, regenerating soil fertility, organic matter, and soil biological activity. Dr. Senana Yate has discussed the mechanisms already a while ago about the form of soil, and conservation tillage, use of local resources and compost, biomass, recycling, efficient water harvesting, and use of renewable energy. So these are water and renewable energy. Then the next thing are about biodiversity, genetic species diversity, as well as ecosystem diversity and cultural diversity. Intercropping and polyculture are important to that aspect as designs of environmental practices to boost nature production. Crop rotation following everything all this have been decades or almost 50 years old topics of farmers, so I don't have to elaborate this. Just as I said, it's just a compilation, or it's just a scoping of all the things that are environmental in terms of nature boosting production. Cover crops and mulching, agroforestry, crop livestock integration, functional biodiversity, and this has a contribution to the control of pests and diseases as well as weeds, modification of microclimate, as well as building ecological stability to that effect. We need to have the seeds and planting materials that Bibong from Indonesia was saying. There's a need for seed banks conservation of agrobiodiversity, and there is holistic landscape management. All of this also, I have to inform you that in my organization, masipag or magsasaka at scientifico sa pagpapaunlad ng agrikultura, or in English, it is Farmer Scientist Partnership for Development, that has been there for about 34 years in operation. We are practicing all of this in different combinations and in different degrees and variations. But let me go to the next dimension of nature boosting production, that is the economic component. This is following the dimensions of agroecology. We need local and farmers markets in order to shorten the food mileage, and that is a mitigation to climate change. Then to enhance food security of the local systems, because most of the time those who grow food are the ones who are seasonally that don't having the food sometimes, because they're all bought in the market. So we have to enhance food security and food sovereignty. Farmers have to determine the market price of products. The market price, when the farmers sell it into the supermarkets, 80% of the net income goes to the supermarket stockholders, and the 20% goes to the farmer producer. But if the farmers have their own farmers market, 80% to 100% of the income goes to the farmers themselves, the farmers' family, and then the money circulates in their community, and there is that inclusive rural development that is the outcome. We have to enhance fair and distribution webs. The global food systems at the moment is a so-called food chain, that is from local to regional to international. We want food webs that are interconnected locally, so that this is more sustainable and this has more contribution to local food security and food sovereignty. We need to develop in the economic components producer and consumer relationships, the so-called consumer-supported agriculture. In Japan, they have a TK system. Somewhere else, they have different names, but the relationship, especially the support of consumers to the producers or farmers, is very important. And this can also maintain biodiversity, diversity of products, because when the farmers are selling only to the supermarkets, they only want one variety, one crop, and therefore it eliminates the biodiversity, genetic and varietal diversity in the field. So this producer-consumer relationship has many ramifications of positive effect into our farming systems, sustainability and equity. Contribute to more household food security and improve nutrition, because there is more food available to the community, um, uh, to the family. Increase resilience through diversification of farm incomes, increased income opportunities and livelihood. I have to say that to have a sustainable agriculture and sustainable food systems, we need to have a sustainable livelihood and income of the farmers themselves. Without sustainable income, there will be no more farmers, the so-called farming without farmers, and that will be ultimately moving into corporate agribusiness farming, and therefore it will create more socioeconomic and political problems of feeding the hungry in the rural areas being displaced by this kind of incompatible farming systems. Therefore, increase in income of communities is very fundamental, is a necessary component of sustainable farming systems, including in organic agriculture, that is in the economic dimensions. So we have to reduce and eliminate dependence on external inputs. We don't have to buy, the farmers should not even buy the organic fertilizers. They should produce themselves. They have to utilize and design a so-called nutrient cycling, that is a so-called using what is locally available biomass in their own community. Reduce investment cost, so that when there is damage by natural calamities, the farmers are saved from such natural calamities. In the sociocultural the components of nature boosting production, promotion of healthy diet and livelihood is so important. At the moment, consumption based on what is in the supermarkets is using about processed food that has such lots of salt and sugar and fats, and is creating health problems, uh, that is high blood pressure, uh, kidney stones, and diabetes and things like that. So we need to do that, consume what is being there in the farm that's being grown. Farmers should be doing research in their farm. That is, uh, up to this point in time, it started about 100 years ago. Farmers were researchers. They were developing seeds. And then when the new technologies were developed, extension workers were hired, and they were the ones uh, giving in a unidirectional system of the research findings or technological findings from the research centers and academy to the farmers. We have to reverse that. We have to capacitate again the farmers to do research in their own farm, so that we can recognize farmers as human resources rather than passive recipient of technology. Farmer to farmer exchange of seeds and barter is important, as well as sharing knowledge. Modesty aside, I'm very proud to say that in my NGO and Farmers Network Masipag, we're very active on these things. We have, in fact, more than 30 farmers, rice breeders. We have more than 10 corn breeders, and we have developed more than 1,000 Masipag rice seeds. At the moment, we have more than 2,000 rice varieties in our collection that is being maintained and propagated by farmer members of our farmers network. So that in the sociocultural components, going back to the topic, we have to strengthen the culture and local knowledge, and in fact, spirituality, because we are humans. We have to address all the dimensions of being human, that is above being an animal. We need culture, knowledge, spirituality, and empowerment of farmers, women, the youth, and indigenous people is important, and cooperation among farmers is so important. It should not be competition between and among themselves, and promoting solidarity among people. So that I would like to say in that cultural dimensions of nature boosting production, I would like to say that grow the food that you eat and eat the food that you grow. Because in a conference that I had a couple of months ago, somebody in one country in Southeast Asia was saying the farmers sell all what they grow and they buy all the things that they eat. So we have to reverse that to be sustainable food systems. We have to grow, the farmer have to grow the food that they eat, most of the food, of course, and they have to eat the food that they grow. So that in that case, it is more sustainable. In the political dimensions of nature production, we need organized and strengthened farmers organizations. We need stronger participation of farmers and consumers in decision making about food and agriculture. We have to lobby public policies in support of farmers and indigenous people, decentralized collective participatory governance of farming and food systems, and farmers' control of seeds, the land, market price, and the market price should be set by the producers or farmers. We need to contribute to the local regional food sovereignty and oppose to threats of to agriculture and food sovereignty. All of this, I'm proud again that in my organization in the Philippines, this is called Masipag, as I said, the membership to our organization is organizations, not individual farmers. They are organization of farmers, and they undergo trainings, capacitation, self-confidence building, technical and scientific observations and thinking and things like that. And modesty aside again, I'm proud that we have been doing all of these things. So, in summary, I would like to say that these four components of organic agriculture production and in the broader agriculture and food systems, we need to consider activities and the environmental components and the economic components and the sociocultural component and the political component so that we can develop a new system of food systems that is for small scale farmers, that is for sustainability, that is for the earth, and that is for the coming generation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Doc Chito, no, for that wonderful presentation, no, for that comprehensive view. No? Indeed, there's a need, no, to deglobalize as well as to relocalize our food system. Our next speaker is the founder and CEO of Bactom, a food chain store with 20 stores in Vietnam since 2009. He is the vice head of Organic Coordination Board of PGS Vietnam since 2012, a value chain specialist for development projects since 2005. He used to be working for the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development before shifting to NGOs and business. Chen strongly believes in evolution of farmers to businessmen, which helps scale up production automatically. He truly loves natural farming and active lifestyles. For Chen, these are the most important to our happiness and for our next generation. So please help me welcome Mr. Chen Tran Man. Chen, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Can hear you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you very much. I would like to present our presentation from PGS Vietnam. I'm a representative from PGS Vietnam. Would like to share our experience about linking PGS farmers to market. And now I am looking for sharing presentation. Excuse me, how can I share from my computer? Because I don't see sharing from computer here.
Okay. We'll check with the tech team, no? But yeah, you are a co-host now, so you can use the option for share screen. On the center part of the screen, there's a share button already now.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, you can click that one.
Yeah, but here there is no files from computer or from Dropbox or Drive.
Screen. You just scroll up. There's an option for screen. Are you using?
Chiến vào
Yeah.
cái
Okay.
Chiến
Okay,
vào
yeah.
cái
You
file
can also see.
file của em trên trên máy tính xong.
Yeah, we can see your laptop.
And you can see now.
I know.
Okay.
I think it swings, or is yeah. It's your laptop already. Yeah, we can see.
You can see now.
Yes,
Can you see now?
We can see
Yes,
now.
we can see
We
now.
can see.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, here it is. So our presentation is about PGS agriculture, organic, and livelihood. So this presentation is made by Ms. Nhung and me. First is about our context in Vietnam. During the last 10 years, the area increased to 2,203 hectares. And the organic land share, according to this statistic, is quite high. Yes, although that I'm a little bit doubt about this, you know.
Chiến ơi,
Even
Chiến cho màn hình nhỏ đi cái. Chiến cho màn hình
Hả?
nhỏ đi cái, không có màn hình to. Em cho màn hình nhỏ đi cái, không có màn hình to, nó ấn chữ nó tràn hết ra, không nhìn thấy đâu.
màn hình đấy em chỉ để là thế à hay thế nào? Bởi vì đây em đang share là nguyên của I'm sorry.
Đi như thế được rồi đấy em ơi, để như thế
Được.
được rồi nhá, để như thế.
Để như này, dạ.
Ok đấy.
Yeah, so the organic land share in Vietnam increased about 2.2% in between 2007 and 2008. Yeah, a little bit above the average of the world. But honestly, we don't have a good statistic in our country, so I'm not sure about this number. But about the producers, the same. And particularly, we've found out that thousands of organic retailers emerged in our country for the last 10 years, particularly last 5 years, because I'm a retailer. So I also joined some associations of retailers, and I found that there is a trend of organic business in our country. And even recently, even Big C, a very big retailer, a big supermarket, they have a strategy of renaming their brand from Big C to something else, so that they can cover more organic products, because Big C is more in the hands of our consumers as a cheap brand. And our advantages, our country, we have quite a lot of advantages. First is our 4 seasons is very good for the crop diversity. And we have a lot of raw materials for organic fertilizer, and the byproducts and the advantages of labor resource. These are also well known in the world, that we attract not only but also the quite a lot of big business to our country. And we also recently the policy support organic quite a lot. That national organic standards by most, and in 2017, and the government issued a decree on 2018 on organic. And particularly, they support 100% for the cost of the test of soil and water at the first certificate for all organic farms. But we also have quite a lot of disadvantages. First is scatter and small land, small farm. You know, this is a result from our self-sufficient time. You know that in our old time, that all farmers have land, and all the scatter plot, you know, small and scatter plots. And also, farmer has poor access to land and water sources and capital. So they also have challenges in complying with regulations and standards. And of course, low productivity is not only for us, but for organic agriculture production in general, for small farmers. In policy, we although we have some advantages, but also challenges. there that the government just strongly develop a sustainable and environmental friendly agriculture. However, the implementation is asynchronous, particularly between the different state agencies, and the lack of organic knowledge. And third is about the social network is like a double-edged sword. I think all of you know about this, particularly in Vietnam, that our government is not easy to control to manage the social networks. In one way, it's very good for marketing, but in the other way, it's also bad. That many fake news, fake advertisement on the social networks. And fourth is about the limited linkages along organic production, processing, and market. And in Vietnam, also particularly important is CBs. The certification bodies they don't have don't have a good brand in the consumers. And the government not officially recognize PJs, although that they support a lot. And from our solution, we think that we have quite a lot of opportunities to improve. First is to link farmers into group cooperative. This is what we have been doing for the last 13 years from the project of organic agriculture by ADA, and a Danish NGO. Second is to educate the market, or raising the awareness on organic and knowledge on farming for the consumers. And third is to promote the local agency to support farmers' organizations. And four is to develop supply chains and make promotion campaigns to link farmers' product to local and further markets. Of course, we also have a fifth recommendation, very important, is about the state and agencies and government to support more mechanisms related to capital, land policy, marketing strategy along the chain. We also have some recommendations to FSS. First is to improve access to organic markets through organic system. This is what we have been doing, and we think this is very important and very useful for small farmers. Second is increase education and awareness among consumers. This is can be seen as educate the market, but use more newspapers, internet, and government resources. Third is to promote short supply chains and local market development. Because of the farmers already have quite a lot of access to internet, to mobile phones, so short supply chains work very good, very well. And fourth is strengthen international cooperation to exchange experiences. And because we have been doing quite a lot with Innofo and other NGOs, and we found that this sharing exchange very useful. And fifth, very important, we think that more local enterprises, particularly processors and retailers, the local one should be invited and benefit from organic projects. These are the powerful engines of small organic producers. I strongly believe in this recommendation, particularly from my perspective. I believe in the shifting in farmers shifting from doing farming to doing business. By that way, they can control their own enterprise. They are not depend on the traders anymore. And they can be collectors or local traders by themselves. And in our process, quite a lot of local farmers, very they do only farming before our project, but they ship to collectors or even local traders to have their local farmers. And if we have we support them more in building their knowledge and capacity, I think this change, this shifting would benefit more for local and small farmers. And that's all from our presentation. And we all here you will see a lot of photos of our farmers participate in this FSS and also in the PGS activities. They do all of the packing, as you see in the screen, Yes, thank you for all of your question. If you have any, just send me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chen, no, for your presentation. So let's proceed now to our next speaker, no, who will be discussing us about building resilience to vulnerabilities, shocks, and stress. So our next speaker is the president of the Organic Farming Association of India. He is also a member of the executive committee of Kerala Jaiva Karshaka Samiti, and an organic farmer and traditional rice cultivation expert. He has also written a book on organic rice cultivation. So please help me welcome Ilyas KP. Ilyas, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for me inviting Independent Dialogue for the United Nations Food System Summit, organized by the Intercontinental Network of Organic Farmers Organization, Innofo. And actually, Dr. Dabal Dev, farmer scientist from Odisha, had to present this topic. He could not come. Dr. Dabal is a rice warrior. He is conserving more than 1,400 varieties of rice and doing characterization study and nutrition analysis. We could not have his presentation due to internet issues. So I am here. I am here to trying to share my experience as a farmer growing traditional seeds, how it will help farmers from climate change. Before the green revolutions, we had India around more than 1 lakh rice varieties. After introducing high yield varieties, now it reduced around 20,000 varieties. Most of these seeds varieties conserved by older generation of our farmers. In Kerala, southern state of India, had around 2,000 varieties. Now we could find only 200 varieties. This was a great loss when we understand the importance of traditional seed varieties. From this variety, I could see I can share some varieties here. Some varieties grow in different climatic conditions. Some are flood tolerant, some are drought tolerant. Some will grow in cold conditions. Some will grow hot conditions. Even some will grow in salt water. Some will grow high altitude and some will grow in low altitude. From these varieties, there is long duration and short duration varieties. Different height varieties. Highest here around 6 feet and the lowest around 1 feet height. There is red bran, white bran, yellow bran, and black bran, and so on. Farmers used to grow these different varieties for different purpose. Some for regular food like rice and rice soup. Some for different fermented food like idli, dosha. Some for medicinal purpose. Some for sweets. Some are scented varieties which used for special food like biryani and pies. Farmers not only check the production, but they also check the cultural use in the diet. These varieties, saline tolerant varieties. This will grows in the northern Kerala region called Kaipad. Due to saline water, they could not grow other varieties here. Its name also Oru Kayama, Oru Tadiyan, Chovarian, etc. Oru means saline. Saline water resistant resistant varieties, because that name has come Oru Kayama, Oru Tadiyan, like this. Here farming practice is also very different from related to other region. This is our favorite varieties called Kurwa. It's a 4-8 varieties. It's drought tolerant. 5 years before in Thrissur district, when we were doing paddy cultivation that time, second season rain was very less we got. Most of the hybrid varieties gone bad due to water shortage. But our Kurwa only has sustains. There is also one example. That's our agriculture officer. They decided to have a harvesting festival, and that time, actually, when they planned that hybrid varieties, they decided the date of harvesting festival, but they could not get rain, most of the farmers, and most of the other varieties, hybrid varieties like Jodi and Uma, has gone. Then when they come, they could see only the Kurwa. They did harvesting festival from that field. This is a long duration varieties called Mundagan, which has flood resistance power. We have different Mundagan varieties. Some varieties grow under the water some days. Some varieties names Kuttadan. Kuttadan means the paddy land rice field. It's like a pot. So when water comes, it's water flooded area. So once the paddy grows, it grows above the water, and also it has power to stay under the water 5 to 10 days. And different kind of Mundagan varieties we have. In Idukki district, there is a paddy land. Only in Idukki there is only few farmers, paddy farmers, rice farmers are there. But they have a lot of climatic condition, different conditions, regions there. In one region, we could see only one Mundagan variety they are growing, farmers growing. They tried to another high yield varieties like the short duration varieties, Jodi, Uma, Aishwarya, like that hybrid short duration varieties, but it could not success. Then farmer found the Mundagan varieties. It's long duration. It is sustained because once the water comes, it's a flooded. There's a canal. Canal will flood the water, the paddy field. So they understood that even though it's a long duration, even though it's falling down, they will cut in between. It is the best varieties for this land. So now the another farmers also coming to taking seeds from this farmer. They are calling here in Idukki Malabar. They got from the Malabar region. That's why they're calling the Malabar variety. We also do rice characterization study. We have done characterization study of around 40 varieties. We recorded physical characteristics at different growth stage of rice plant with the help of Dr. Dabal. And OFI, local organization, Kerala Jaiva Karshak Samiti and Tanal Paidragam. We did different region in Wayanad, Kozhikode, Thrissur, and other regions. We did rice character study. We also included students to bring them and get them aware of these varieties. We did a rice nutrition analysis with the help of Dr. Dabal. 5 varieties we sent to him, and Raktashali, Kaungin Putala, Mullankadama, Karuttanavara, Tavalakkannan. These are local names. Maybe it's in. So these are actually most of these varieties like Raktashali and Karutta Navara and Kaungin Putal also used for so many medicinal purpose. So we want to know what actually it has. So then we found that there is iron content in some varieties. When we check with the hybrid variety, if it is in 1 kilogram, 5 milligram or 6 milligram iron content, here we can see that around 30 milligram iron content in Tavalakannan, around 24 milligram in iron content in Kartanavara, 38 milligram in Mullankayama, 27 milligram in Raktashali. So this iron content is very high, most of this variety. Also, Raktashali has vitamin B5. We know that vitamin B5 increase our RBC, also increase our hemoglobin. So Raktashali is used to have to clear our blood. It's that traditionally most of these our traditional doctors used to prefer this Raktashali. So that we found that vitamin B5 only in the Raktashali. Raktashali also higher content is more. And Karutta Navara also more zinc content and iron content. So these are the varieties. Now, because we are facing that main here in India, iron deficiencies in major problem here, women and children getting iron deficiencies. What government is doing, instead of giving this nutritional food, they are giving that iron tablets. In students in our school also giving that iron tablet. Last year, we told our education minister, instead of giving iron tablets, we should promote these traditional varieties and give to local this nutritional food to them. So we have enough traditional varieties that can sustain us as organic farmers in hard times of climate change. So I would want to tell here in our food system summit that we should give importance to traditional varieties. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ilyas, for that wonderful presentation. Okay. Uh, so our speakers are also here, no? So we will be, if you have questions for the speaker before we proceed for the plenary, no? We will ask you guys, no? If you have questions to our speakers, please feel free to either type on the chat box or you can raise your hand, no? And then you can personally ask your questions for our five speakers this afternoon. Okay? But I think the points being shared by our speakers was quite clear, no? Yeah. There are at the chat, no? There are agreements, no? Here's a comment. Very good suggestion to give traditional food to students. No, thank you, Ilyas. Yeah, there's wonderful sharing. No, okay. If there's no questions, no, we will be proceeding to the next part of our independent dialogue. No, so we will have a plenary. No, we will have an open forum. Then there are guide questions, no, that we prepared so that we can answer, no. So yeah, thank you for all the presentations. Okay, so let's have now our plenary session. Then first question, aside from what has been presented, what are the solutions would you like to recommend to the United Nations Food System Summit? So yeah, aside from what was mentioned by our speakers, if you want also to stress more about the solutions, no, we would like to hear it from you. So please feel free to share if you want, if you have more ideas, no, so that it will be included, no, on our document to be forwarded to the United Nations Food System Summit. So please feel free to share your ideas on the solutions, no, on the current challenges of our food systems.
Excel.
Yes,
Hello.
Weng. Go ahead,
Oh,
Weng.
sorry, I don't have the raise hand icon here, so I just opened my.
Okay.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. So upon listening to our speakers, no, there are a lot of similarities, no, with regards to the what we can recommend to the UN Food System Summit. One similarities and very striking for me is that all our majority of our presenters, no, from the first topic up to the last, was saying that we have to recognize traditional food and traditional seed systems, of the farmers. I was just talking to Doc Chito, and we were discussing that our governments, uh, globally, no, they have a system of recognizing the how seeds are certified, and these are very established system, but we don't have like recognition, a method or a way that we can recognize traditional and local varieties, which as we can see now, as has been more are more beneficial, no, to the small scale producers. So I would like to propose that that could be one of the recommendation. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's a recommendation, no, to recognize traditional food system. Okay, who would like to add more? No, I think yeah, as what Weng mentioned earlier, no, we I think the speakers, no, they're sharing, or actually we have a consensus here, no, towards indeed towards a sustainable food system that is through organic, no, and very strong, no, assertion that we need more sustainable organic farms than big agribusiness, or the big agribusiness plantations, no, which practices monocropping. Okay. Is there any more suggestion? Yeah, Doc Chito, go ahead, please.
I would like to
Yes.
reiterate my suggestion that since majority of farmers are small scale, any policy on the development of agriculture and food should have a special policy on small scale farmers, because it should not be homogenized development of agriculture and food systems globally, and because that will be dominated by information technology, corporate funding and capitalization. So because small scale farmers are livelihood, they're maintaining biodiversity, they are feeding themselves, so that they will not be a problem of the government. Therefore, programs of government should be given special attention also to small scale farmers regarding food and agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc Chito. No, so another recommendation, to give emphasis, no, for the support, no, especially to the small scale farmers. Okay. So any more? Any suggestions from our friends from Vietnam or from Indonesia, from India? No. Uh, Please feel free to share. Yan. If you have some more suggestion, or if none, let's also proceed to the second question. No. Uh, Please enumerate ways for scaling out and scaling up the solutions presented. Well, actually, it's related, no? So yeah, we have some hands here. Avule Bon. No? Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Hello. May I?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes. Có lẽ là tôi nói bằng tiếng Việt hay tiếng Anh nhỉ? Yes. I think this event very useful for all who are working on organic sector. And myself, I work with the Farmer Union more than 30. And now I work for the Forest and Farm Facility in Vietnam, supported in AO. And we recognize that the food system very important. But more important, how we can bring nutrition, good quality food for all. This is why I think that the organic farming ecological farming, especially the food produced based on the forestry landscape, is very important, not only for small farmers in mountainous area, for in remote area, in deficiency area, but we can bring most natural food for all for people in city. How we can protect our traditional food, how we can protect our resources, environment, nature, water. I think very important. We should recognize the food system. Now, UN would like to make some change how we can produce the good quality food. We have to concern to small farmer, especially small farmer in remote area, in forestry, in forest landscape. They are very far city. They have a very poor infrastructure. How they can bring those good food to the city? We need more investment in infrastructure. Yes. Now, not only hard infrastructure and even soft infrastructure. We talk about the online marketing. Yeah. We talk about the e-commerce. But how the farmer in remote area can access this market? I think if UN would like to change their livelihood, they should concern about infrastructure first, investment, responsible investment for the poor people, for the remote area, how small farmers can access the market.
Okay.
Yes. The second thing, I think, in coming time, if UN and other national country would like to promote agriculture products and organic products, we should have specific program to promote organic farming and how we can educate for farmer and consumer, how they recognize the value of organic products. I think it's very important. They will pay more money because they understand that they pay not only for their healthy food, but they also help the small farmer in remote area to continue to produce the good and qualifier better product for all. Yes. And I think that they can pay more money, not only for the food, but they can pay more money for farmer, for smallholder, can protect our environment because they feed not only us, they feed soil, they protect water, they protect environment, they protect forest, they protect all nature resources. I think that's important. If we recognize that the UN and government, country, each nation can have specific program to support this issue very carefully and very, how to say, we bring good food and nutrition for all by supporting small farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Vuno. So 2 points, access to safe, nutritious food, and as well as on marketing to promote organic with the consumers, no promotion, especially in education. Okay, thank you very much for that point, Vu. Our next, we would like to, okay, so there's hands, no? So we will have Mekong Organics, then Pankaj Arora, then Shashank Ja. So let's have Mekong Organics No?
Good evening from
Good evening.
Australia. Yes, thank you for offering me a chance to ask a question. I'm working with a small scale farmers in South Asia, especially in Vietnam. Uh, some presenter said about 70% of farmers are small scale under 2 hectares. When we work with farmers to advise them to transform from conventional to organic farming, I found that farmers still believe um, organic agriculture is low use. The use is very low, and it takes time to convert to organic farming. I think education at the government level and media in some countries it's very weak and low compared to pesticide or conventional agriculture. I think the more important is at the national and provincial government and media should pay more attention to provide training and make sure our small scale farmers understand, because now they have little understanding about organic agriculture. It's very hard to convince them. And when ask them about, they ask about where is the markets, how to sell, yeah, the price is very low. That's their perception. But in reality, we have space for organic agriculture, food to survive and to develop it. That UN or FAO should pay more space for organic agriculture for small scale farmer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mekong Organics. No? So let's have Pankaj Arora. No? You're raising your hand. Yeah.
Hi, am I on now?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, so basically, I've spent a lot of time being in technology and design, and it's recently that I've come to like work on my land and that's a brief on me. And I like to congratulate Israel for his awesome presentation. Uh, and in terms of my contribution to this talk, what I feel like we are where, yeah,
Yeah,
we are where we are.
we have a difficulty in your signal. Please state again, sir, your sharing. Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, that's better now.
Okay. Okay. Great. So do I have to start from the start, or like I should speak from where I left? Hello.
Hello. Yeah, sir. Go ahead. It's better now.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Start or should I? Okay. Yeah. So on me, previously, like I was helping people set up like desktop gardens and kitchen farms in metros. But now, from next 1.5 year, I'm on my farmland and trying to create a model of agroforestry. And that's a brief background on me with regards to farming, apart from other things that I do. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank Professor Anil for his wonderful presentation and other presenters as well. And as far as like my contribution to the dialogue goes, like
Hello. I think yeah, he has a problem with the connection. Maybe we'll just ask him to to just type in, no, later. So yeah, one hand is raising. Shashank Shekarja, please. Shashank. Hello. Oh.
Yeah, Shashank. This is Shashank here. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you, Shashank.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on this forum. So I would like to make a suggestion. And first of all, before I start, like I would like to thank all the presenters. Like they have given a very good understanding from the background that they come. We got to know about different scenarios in the various Asian countries. So and taking cue from Dr. Sinan Aike's presentation, where I understand that a big chunk of the farmers are small scale farmers, which have less than 2 hectares of land, and hence it is extremely important that the government policies. Now, this is the suggestion part that I'm trying to make, that the government policy should be oriented more towards decentralization. Like I mean, all this small scale farmers should get benefited by the policies. Thereby, we can get the benefit of retaining the local food, and how do we move the food from the local market to the international, or to begin with to the national market and then the international market. So the policies should be such, like, I mean, there are other speakers also who have said that the infrastructure should be built so that we are able to connect, the local farmers are able to connect, they are able to access the infrastructure, they are able to take benefit from the government policies, and they are able to sell their produce to the market. And at the same time, they are able to get a good fees, or a right fees for their produce, so that the whole thing becomes sustainable. Otherwise, it's just talks that we do, and it won't produce results. Like if the farmers are not sustainable, are not able to keep themselves alive, then how are we supposed to be getting the food that they produce? This is my suggestion that I wanted. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Shashank, for your suggestion. So we well noted. No? Okay. Is there any more who would like to? Anyone who would like to share more about possible solutions, no, to be forwarded to the United Nations Food System Summit? So yeah, we will accept 2 more. No? If you have more ideas or suggestions, please feel free to share. Okay, Galaxy A10. So please, Galaxy A10, please introduce your name. You are recognized.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
मैं राजेंद्र सिंह राठौर, रतलाम, मध्य प्रदेश, इंडिया से। मध्य प्रदेश, इंडिया से। जी, थैंक यू, आपने मुझे मौका दिया। मैं 2-3 बातें सिर्फ शॉर्ट में कहना चाहता हूँ कि बहुत बड़ी समस्या है, और सब लोग चाहते हैं कि दुनिया में, देश में सारे किसान ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग करें। लेकिन जो ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं वो परेशान हैं, क्योंकि उनको एक तो सही रेट पे उनकी चीज बिकती नहीं है, उनका सामान सही रेट पे बिक नहीं पाता है, और दूसरा कि उनको उत्पादन भी कम मिलता है, तो दोहरा जो है नुकसान होता है। तो इससे बचने के लिए ये होना चाहिए कि सर्टिफिकेशन एक तो बहुत आसान शर्तों पे हो, गवर्नमेंट की मदद से हो, और जो पैदा वो करता है उसके मार्केट की सुविधा उसको ऐसी मिले कि वो बहुत आसानी से और उसके अच्छे रेट मिल जाएं, ताकि वो अपना काम आसानी से चला सके। और तब तक उसको इस सपोर्ट की जरूरत होगी जब तक कि वो ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग मेन स्ट्रीम में नहीं आ जाती। बस इतना ही मुझे कहना था। थैंक यू।
Okay, thank you. Can we ask no to translate? No.
Can I have an idea? Hello?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, hello? Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Yeah. Market recognition.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. So,
Can I
okay,
request
that's
one
from
idea?
Galaxy. So we can have one last more. No,
Hello.
Joseph. Yeah, please feel
Yeah.
free.
I am from India. Good afternoon, everyone. I have a request. If this platform, whether you can do one thing, uh, everywhere there is indigenous cultivation and indigenous food systems. But nowadays, people are not doing this indigenous cultivation and they are not following the indigenous food system. Now, our Ilyas told that it is very good for indigenous food for students for improving their health. That means for iron, for zinc, for magnesium, everything. I'm asking for to this platform whether we can put forward a representation or a resolution, whether we can pass for at least for students. Every country, every state must uh, give them this traditional food. In our state also, there is lunch in every school. There is lunch meal for students from their schools. We should ask these governments to give them traditional foods for their health, for their mental and physical health. We can uh, produce a resolution on that I am asking. Thank you.
Okay, we'll keep that noted, ma'am. No. Yeah. Okay. We also have here no on the chat box. Okay. What I was suggesting that from Pankaj, no. What I was suggesting that we aren't where we are for no reason. We have been exposed to systemic apathy. The whole education system, and that includes the education in agriculture, has been dominated by West and the industrialized way of farming. While it might sound weird, I would have a suggestion towards breaking this chain of apathy. If somehow we could make a policy to tie the compensation of people working in agriculture sector, especially the government sector, to a certain proportion of majority of farmers. I think if introduced, this would be a quick shot in the arms of ensuring farmer farmer welfare. Also from Vietnam, there's a suggestion. No, we need to gather solutions to replace toxic chemicals in agricultural production. Encourage farmers to expand their production areas and apply biological solutions in production. Currently in Vietnam, although there are many biological solutions to replace chemicals, there are not many application farms, including organic farming farms. There are many reasons, but we can focus on this and break the barriers. If not, this is a great waste, losing the opportunity to protect the health of farmers, losing the opportunity to consume clean agricultural products of consumers, and losing the opportunity to improve quality of living environment on earth. Okay. Then also, yeah, we have also earlier comments. No, policy should be balanced towards small scale farmers. And thanks for the great presentation of all the presenters. Food is right for all. Moving the food management fully by corporation without farmers' role is something impossible because they, the corporations, have to learn from the start everything about environment, biodiversity, and how to maintain all agriculture activities that during this time, those things are managed by farmers, not just in theory, but especially they, farmers, in daily life. Instead, we must do the opposite, one from that issue or big thinking. UN should make a program with a concrete actions to promote family farming, can guide small farmers, especially in highland mountain or mountainous area where available conditions for organic agroecology, and link their products to markets. To make it happen, think about roads, transportation, those for connecting people, knowledge, and markets. When we talk about food system, it's supposed to be community-based because communities have their best practices related to the local wisdom, indigenous seeds, and the indigenous production system, and also an agreement. I think there are consensus here. No, oh, we also have more raising their hands. No, okay. Since we have a bit time. No, but we will cater this last two. No, this final last two. So first from Indonesia, and then Justin Pauls. No, so Unique from Indonesia. Okay, you're raising your hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I think we have a similar problem and similar concern in food issue. Rather than think about moving the food fully management by corporation, instead we must do something the opposite one, as I write in the chat place. I think farming or agriculture is not only about food production. It's about culture. It's social life. It is about life a nation, or in this term, is about our culture life in Asia area. We have almost the same condition in agriculture. So if we face food issue that will be moved to corporation, instead we must push our government to promote family farming. So invite the city people to do farming as their daily life. Then promote the agriculture is about they how to educate their children, their family, because agriculture is a culture, is our culture, our life, not just our food enough, but it's about heritage, about good earth for life. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Unique. No, indeed, no, agriculture is culture. Okay,
Culture,
so yeah, so okay, we have Justin Pauls. No,
Yeah. Hi guys. My name is Justin, and I'm from India. So I'm representing an indigenous community-owned company called Rajamalai from Keystone Foundation. I'm just suggesting on how we can improve the food chain from the indigenous farmlands. So I was hearing someone telling, how can we improve consumption of indigenous food, as it is a culture-based, tradition-based product. So I would say, I would think like we need to bring in some innovation on the product probably, because we're all into modern world, westernized food and things. But I think if we could come up with some innovation on how we can present the food to the present generation, probably that can help more consumption of the indigenous food. And we all know that it is rich in all vitamins and proteins and things. So I think a little bit of innovation probably should get a better price for the product as well. And then a lot of local consumption will also happen. In that way, that will still make sure that the cultural knowledge is also being transmitted from generation to the next generation. So that will also encourage the existing farmers to go ahead with the indigenous farming. So that was just one suggestion from our side. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Justin. No? So that's our final comment or suggestion resolution. So we will be noting all your suggestions and resolutions. So yes, now I think we are 15 minutes. We have an overtime of about 15 minutes. But yeah, we are thankful that you stayed here, no, despite the extension with our program. But before we formally close, no, our program, uh, there's a request, no, from the chat, no, I think, but there's a request to have a photo shoot first, no, before we formally before the closing remarks. So can we ask everyone here to please turn on your camera, no, your video, please turn on your video. And I think Basti from our tech team will be the ones who will capture, no, the screens.
Okay,
So
I will take 3 photos because there are 10 participants. Okay, the first one. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm gonna take another. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, the last one. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
thank you very much, Basti. Okay. And everybody, thank you very much for staying here. No, to formally close our program this afternoon or this evening, rather, I will call on our president, no, from the Intercontinental Network of Organic Farmers Organization, Miss Shamika Mon. Shamika?
Yes, thank you, Excel. And thank you all for coming and bringing some valuable inputs in this discussion today. And also coming off your farm, giving your farm time for this discussion. And if you have any more recommendations that you would like to give, which you could not cover in this time, please feel free to send your messages to us at our official email address, which will be put in the chat. And just to, before we conclude, I also want to tell you that all your inputs will be then collated into a continental report from Asia. And we are doing similar dialogues in 6 continents. And we will collate all these dialogues from different continents into Innofo position, global position of organic farmers, and then submit it to the United Nations Food Systems Summit. So I would also like to tell you at this juncture what is Innofo in a small brief.
that Innofo is an intercontinental network of organic farmers organizations. It's a platform that was started in 2008 within IFOAM Organics International. Since 2011, we started having our official General Assembly in 2011, 14, 17, and now we will have it this year in September. So we are now in the process of converting an informal network of organic farmers organizations globally to a formalized structure of organic farmers. And we are building our communication channels. As you can see, this one is also one channel. And by building these communication channels, we will have an infrastructure of our organic farmers going forward, that even if we don't stay in the board, the next generation of organic farmers would continue to serve Innofo and to raise the organic farmers' voice globally on the local, national, and global platforms like the United Nations. So yes, I would finally like to thank here for all of you to join this Innofo Asia program, or the Food Systems Summit Dialogue that we organized for you. And I want to thank Masipag organization, who is also serving as our Innofo Asia, hopefully the secretariat in the coming few months. But just for your information, this is a voluntary organization, Innofo, where we all are organic farmers giving our time for this movement. And also, I would like to thank IFOAM Organics International for supporting Innofo throughout its journey from an informal network to a formal organization. And thanks to all of you who have again contributed your time and efforts and came here. So yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Shamika. So that ends our program for the Independent Dialogue organized by Innofo. So yes, we wish you have good health amidst this pandemic, as well as to continue promoting organic, healthy, safe, and nutritious food for all. Thank you very much and good evening.